Alrighty, YouTube, back at it again with the 40-foot container trailer from Tamiya. On this video, we're going to do step 7 and 8, and 9. Step 7 is installing all your drag links for your axles. Step 8 is building your bumper, your mud flaps. And 9 is installing your fenders on the truck. So 10 I've already done. 10 is just gluing your tires and wheels together. Already done that. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and get started. I did a couple parts of the step already, of step 7. I've already done one whole side, drag links, just so we can see what our finished product is going to be. So to do this, pretty straightforward stuff. You have your 3 drag links. On one end, you have this nub, and the other side you don't. So this nub goes into the middle on all of them. So it points towards your T. It points in, the nub points in. Having little technical difficulties here. And then the nub points in on all 3 of them, so there's nothing special. So once you've got them orientated right, you want to put your 3 BB 15s, which is this collared screw. It's the same one we've used to do your springs. So we'll put the 3 of those in real quick, get everything held into place. So, and those just get held on by 3 nylocks. That's your BB7. Get them all started real quick. When you're doing this, you got to make sure your screw's pushed all the way through, or else it may catch and not seat all the way, and then as you're running the truck, it'll free itself, and your suspension will be all loose. But you don't want loose suspension. So, just make sure you push the screw all the way through and there's no gap. Alright. This nut will actually bottom out before you get it tight enough to freeze these, to keep these from moving freely. So don't worry about that. Now, your next step is going to be installing your BB14. They're the same style of colored nut, or screw, I mean, but it's longer. The collar portion is actually longer to accommodate the nub on your drag link. So just slide all 3 of those in, like so. Now all of them get a little Loctite. Tamiya provides this jelly Loctite, which is real nice because it stays put. And then they get a flange nut, which is BA10. So each one just gets a flange nut, and this is the same deal. Make sure your screw is sitting as flush as you can get it, so that way you're not running into a loose suspension down the road. And once your flange nut grabs the metal, it pretty much tightens itself. You don't have to use your tool, your T-tool, to do it. Alrighty, one more here. And that is the drag links. It's the exact same setup on the other side. So, once you have your drag links in, you have to install these spacer bars here. These spacer bars will make it so the T doesn't want to wiggle. You can see, kind of hard to see, but you can actually wiggle this and push them together, which will bind up and cause all kinds of problems in the suspension. So they just go in the extra hole on the T next to your drag link nut, and they go in with the 3x10 mil screw out of bag A. It says it's a BA4. Now I know they say they're in bag A. I think that's just their part number, because this one comes in bag B as you're building the kit, but they just call it BA4 for uniformity. They don't want to confuse everybody. So, just run it down. Make it as tight as you can. This collar's going to want to spin on you. So, or the spacer. It's going to want to spin on you. It's not going to want to tighten. You can grab it with a pair of pliers, which I don't recommend because you'll mar it up. If you don't care about how it ends up looking, you can just grab it with a pair of pliers and run it down nice and tight. I like to tighten one side and go back and do the other side again, and just keep going back and forth because they'll tighten each other up as they're going. Check this one. Make sure you're Loctiting these ones because you're just going into a piece of aluminum, and they will work themselves out because the screws don't have any flange bite on them like the flange nut do. But just a jab of Loctite does the trick. Alrighty, so that's done. That's step 7. We'll set the trailer aside for it now. And we're going to do step 8, which is building your 2 mud flaps and your bumper part. This is part number J2, and this is Q1. They just go together like this. Make sure that your openings are on the top, and they have, J has some nubs here that this clips into, like so it doesn't want to wander on you. And then you grab these guys, which are your bumpers, your rubber bumpers for when you're backing the trailer up and you hit the loading dock or something. Those are to absorb that bump. They just get held together using a BA7, just a coarse thread self-tapper. It's just going into plastic, so it's not overly tight, or I mean overly necessary to Loctite. Well, you can't really Loctite plastic, but be careful when you are tightening them. You don't want to over tighten them and rip all the threads out. So you're going to have 2 of them. 2 bump stops, 2 screws each bump stop. Now this white piece is supposed to be painted flat black. I'm going to go through and paint everything later. Take the trailer apart once I've decided on the paint scheme. I may follow their recommendations and keep it as close to looking stock as possible. I might paint it to match the semi-truck. Don't quite know yet. So, but this piece is supposed to be like flat black, and it's going to get some stickers and everything once I'm done and I decide what color I'm doing. So now to do your mud flaps, they just are pretty simple. They get pinched between these two bits of plastic. The plastics have ears on them, or not ears, but little nubs on them that go through the mud flap, so you can see it's flush, and then the screws go in through the back, or the front, I mean, of the mud flap, and they're just some tiny little screws. They're 2x4, and they just get tightened in. They're normal machine thread. Again, just make sure you're not over tightening them, or else you'll run into the problem where there ain't no plastic to keep the screw in, and you'll just be losing stuff. So, that little screw is BB4. These are directional. You notice that this is offset from the center. The center one is well centered, and this one is a little above it. If you look, when you're putting it into the mud flap, if they don't line up, flip the piece of plastic, rotate the piece of plastic 180 degrees, and they'll make it so they line up. So if we put it on backwards, you can see that they don't quite line up. So yeah, just flip it, no big deal. And again, this gets put on and mushed using a couple screws. Alrighty, and that's the last of steps 7 and 8. We're going to do 9. I have to pause the video and get all staged for 9 because there's a lot more to it. So give me a second, guys. Go get yourself some Coke or something, and I'll be right back. Hold just a sec. Alrighty, guys, I'm back. Sorry I lied about the Coke. It was only a moment for you guys and 20 minutes for me, so I got the Coke. Haha, suckers. So, we're now putting on our fenders. Oh, excuse me. You can see I've already done 3 of them. To do our fenders, spin it so you can see. They just go into these holes, right? Let's see. Right here. They're self-tapped, or they're tapped holes. They're threaded. No nuts required. So what you do is you just take your 2 screws. The fenders are not directional, so it doesn't matter left or right. But you just take your 2 screws, put them in, take a little Loctite and put it on the threads. Like so. Line them up. Be careful. Make sure you get them started nice and slowly. You don't want them to be cross-threaded when you're doing this, because the aluminum threads are all you have. You'll be modifying it with a nut if you mess up the threads. So, just run it down nice and tight until it stops. You are tightening plastic to metal, so don't go crazy, because you'll crack it and you'll have to go buy yourself some new ones. Luckily, the kit comes with one set of extra fenders because you need more than one part off of that tree apparently. So, let's see, that screw is totally different. I'll put down the right screw for the last one. Anyway, just a little Loctite. Again. Make sure you line up before you go hog wild and start tightening it down like crazy. There we go. Apparently I got the wrong screw, so yep, that's definitely the wrong screw. So we'll just not put that one on right now. I'll have to hunt down the right screw. Maybe I used the wrong one in spot. It's alright, I've got extra. So, once you theoretically have both your fenders on, or 6 of your fenders on, you can go ahead and do your bumper, which is the last step of last part of step 9. That just goes on like so. You notice that the white part's on the top, and the skinny part's going to be on the bottom of the trailer. So once you got that on like so, it just takes a couple self-tapping plastic screw guys to go into the sides. The screws for the fender were 3x18, and those are BB2, and these ones are BA7. So that nice and tight. Again, don't go hog wild tightening them in because you can risk messing up the threads or the plastic, and then you're hosed. So alright, now once you got all 4 of those guys in, you're done with step 9, which automatically jumps you into step 10, which is the tires, gluing the tires together. Like I said, I've already done all my tires. I think we're going to go ahead and just jump into step 11 real quick. That is putting the tires on and putting your mud flaps on. Mud flaps, tires. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. This is going to call for 4 of your BA4s, 4 flange nuts, 6 of your wheel nuts, alrighty, and then it's going to call for a couple plastic parts off of the tire trees. Alright, we got 6 of them here real quick. Just calls for this little chrome washer ring. That just breaks off real quick. They also come with this beauty ring. It's more of a scale look on the big rig trailers. It's like a lock for your lug nuts, so your lug nuts don't slowly loosen themselves off. I'm not going to put them on right now because that would require me to scrape some paint off my tires, and I don't want to do that right now, or off my wheels. So to do these, you just simply grab your mud flap, screws away from the tire because you don't want to flick any actual mud into the screw holes. You're gonna Loctite it. Wrong holes. Goes in the front set of holes. So there's 2 sets of holes on the trailer. These ones go on the front set. Now you'll notice I'm putting my one screw in because they're opened. So I put my one screw in to give it something to sit on. And I very carefully align my second screw. Carefully. Oh. Maybe not so carefully. There we go. Do the back one first. And then do the front one. It'll make it easier. Haha. Easier for people with fat fingers. Then just get a little Loctite and a little flange nut. Run the nut up real quick. Give it a good tight. Careful, don't over tighten them because you are, again, securing plastic to metal. The plastic will lose the battle. So, again, a little Loctite. And these are your BA4 3x10s. This is the real common screw in the whole mix. So, back one on. Get the front one ready. Set them flap in. Set the screw in. Put the flange nut on. Maybe put the flange nut on. Okay. So voila, there's your mud flaps. Now our tires, I'm only going to put 5 on because I can't get to those screws on the fender with the tire in place. So once I find that missing hardware. So once you put your tires on, you just put your little spacer ring on. Spacer ring on. Then you just use your T to put your wheel nuts on. So, alrighty guys, I'm just going to wrap this up. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think about how I'm doing. If there's any questions or anything about the build, anywhere you're stuck, ask me and I can try and help you out where I can. So, thanks for watching. Speedy Mix, signing off.